Welcome to Buckets Live. We are live coming to you at youtube.com/the Action Network. We're going to break down the NBA playoffs, the series prices as they come available. We are going to hit every series that is on the board right now. We'll talk play-in tournaments. We're going to give you bets that we've got going right now as it stands happening here on Buckets Live. Joining me is Michael Fiddle as well as Sean Little. They're going to be with me throughout the episode, talking all things on the series prices. You can catch Michael Fiddle in the Action Network app and on Twitter at Fiddle's Picks. And you can catch Sean Little in the Action Network app on Twitter at Chicago Flow. Fiddle and I are dialed in. We're locked in. We're ready to go, breaking down all these prices. Sean's watching some dumbass golf tournament right now. I don't know what to tell you, but he's still here and he's going to give us good insights on all these games. We'll have it all covered for you here. We got prices already up. Prices are populating as we speak. These books are going live with them. They're going to keep me honest as far as where the series prices are moving, the game one lines. We're going to talk about all of it here on the show. Fellas, glad to have you with us. Today, we're coming to you for the Tommy John Home Studios. Extremely, it's a comfortable day. I've been wearing my Tommy John's pajama pants all day as I watch a bajillion hours of basketball. I watch Wizards Heat because I'm a sicko. Cannot wait to bet Wizards team total over in the summer. That's the most important news of the day. But let's start, guys, with this one. As after the LA Clippers defeated the Golden State Warriors in overtime of an absolute instant classic to secure a spot in the playoffs, they go to 5. They'll face the Denver Nuggets. We have series prices up right now. Nuggets are minus 195 at DraftKings to win the series. Clippers plus 160 to win the series. Fascinating matchup. Kawhi Leonard did not play in any of the matchups between these two teams. He was not back before that series got over with. An interesting twist on this: the only reason the Nuggets have home court advantage in this series is because of the play-in tournament. The Nuggets lost the season series 2-1 to the Clippers, but after the play-in tournament, they got scheduled for a 4th game, and the Nuggets won that one to tie the series, and that game was the difference in them winning conference tiebreaker. That's the only reason the Nuggets wound up with home court advantage with that altitude adjustment for this series. I love the NBA. I love the in-season tournament. Absolutely tremendous. Game one lines are out. The Nuggets are minus 3.5. That is a light line for a series that is priced minus 195. Fiddle, what's your reaction to the market, and what are your first thoughts on the series?
Yeah, crazy. There's actually some mispricings. You guys are going to see me often looking away, making actionable bets right now. Actionable bet, Clippers plus 160. Placed that. I would follow that. You could already see it coming up on FanDuel. Matt, I'm allowed to use book names, right?
Yes.
You could see that coming up at FanDuel right now. Nuggets minus 144 with Clips plus 160 on the side. Very rare you see an outright arbitrage situation available for a series price, but that will happen in the NBA playoffs when these lines all populate at the same time. You will get some errors. You will get some stark differences in this one with the Clippers playing so well, with Kawhi being healthy, with the coaching advantage that should be there now that Malone isn't there and Ty Lue might be the best adjustment coach in the NBA. Clippers plus 160 full unit for me, not even worrying about the arbitrage situation. The little edge that you'd get there between a plus 160 and a minus 144, to me, not worth tying it up for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, or however long this series goes. You could find other spots like that in prop markets on day-to-days and churn it over, but I will be playing Clippers plus 160 full unit.
Okay, Clippers plus 160 full unit is a bet for Michael Fiddle. Sean, what do you think about the market and how this is priced right now?
Yeah, and in the series spread, if you look at the difference between DK plus 1.5 games is minus 150, it's minus 184 at FanDuel, a little 34-cent difference there. So FanDuel and DraftKings completely disagree on this series as they open up and this market starts to get rolling. This is by far the most interesting first round series to me because I agree with Fiddle. Full unit on at plus 160, I agree. That is an outrageous price for how well the Clippers have been playing basketball. And then you put in, I tweeted as soon as they got rid of Malone that I was looking to fade the Denver Nuggets in the opening round as much as I could. Plus 160 is the best way you can do it. I would also take plus 1.5 games on the Clippers. They're playing too good a ball right now for me not to take $1.60 on them to win the series.
I'm trying to look at the series prices right now. Let's see. Clippers plus 2.5 games is minus 320. That's too steep.
Did you guys
Nuggets
see what
plus
just happened for
1.5
the series
games.
price?
Do what?
Plus 160 already gone, down to plus 145. So Clippers take the first action. And guys, people who are here, like, you have an advantage being live with us. Some of these numbers are going to move quickly, and I will try and do my best to call them out. But like, that one was already a no-brainer. And if you're still seeing it plus 145, I would strike that as well. Sorry for interrupting that.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, 145. We're down to plus 122 at FanDuel for Clippers. Like, Clippers are getting absolutely steamed into oblivion here. I mean, look, I think I'm going to wait and come back in on Nuggets. The reason, a couple things here. One matchup I do like. So Aaron Gordon is the Nuggets' best defender. He's still the Nuggets' best defender. Aaron struggles when he's got quick guards that he has to navigate. That's where he really struggles. If you got blow by speed, Aaron can't really hang, and he's having to do a lot of that with where the Nuggets are at defensively. However, Kawhi Leonard is not that. I like the matchup of Aaron Gordon on Kawhi Leonard. That's a really good matchup. Aaron's got the strength to hang with him. He's got the foot speed to hang with Kawhi. He's got the ability to get a good contest on him. I actually really like that matchup. Kawhi's going to do what he does. He's still going to have like a game where he's got like 40. That's what he does. But I do think over the course of the series, that's a really good matchup for them. Zoo is excellent, right? Like, Zoo's such a big part of the Clippers' defensive identity. Does it matter if you're facing Nikola Jokic? No, it never matters if you're facing Nikola Jokic. Jokic is going to cook everybody. So that's one disadvantage. Now, I do like on the other side of the floor, Chris Dunn is a great guard to go up against Jamal Murray. Quick hands, speed, absolutely physical. He's going to be able to hang with him. That's a really good setup right there. Who does Kawhi guard in the series? Like, what's the matchup advantage for him? Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot? Like, if it's MPJ, he can roam, but you like that if you're Denver, because then you got opportunities for kickouts to Michael Porter Jr. Like, that's a little bit easier for you. The Nuggets are going to struggle, I think, defensively with trying to hide Michael Porter Jr. Kawhi's going to put him in a lot of actions, but there's actually some injuries on the Clippers, I think, here that lean a little bit towards Denver. I don't love the Derrick Jones Jr. minutes that are likely to come in this series. Like, I think I'm probably going to wait here. Nuggets minus 144, Clippers plus 122. I'm going to wait for this to get lower as the Clippers continue to take on steam. I'm probably going to come back in on Denver based off of my initial reactions on the market. Fiddle, any thoughts there?
No, just wait. I don't care about anyone's opinion. I care that the bet type is no disrespect, that the bet type is a smart bet type and that you get the best price. You do those two things, you will be profitable. If you play Clippers at best price and you play Denver at best price, yeah, we're going to be on different sides of this one, but it's no different than having, +6 and -4. Like, long term, if that game closes at 5, we're both profitable. We're both winners in the long run. The only thing I will say is, and I'll reiterate this, and something I've said every year that we've done this, and this is second year that I'm on the buckets live for the postseason reactions and the prices to drop. If you are going to play a series spread, you should have zero intention of playing it back the other direction within a game or two. Don't pre-plan a hedge in these markets. If you are betting into outright series prices, you are 99% going to ride those tickets, barring some sort of injury. If you do plan to hedge it, if your team goes up 2-0 and you just want to hedge the other side, you were much better off playing money lines and rolling it over. You were much better off playing spreads and then not worrying about it. So just don't tie up the money if you're planning on thinking, oh, if this team gets up 2-0 or if this underdog goes 1-1 and then goes home, I'll just play the other side. There's better ways to go about that. Play the underdog money line, just game 1 and 2. So Matt, I don't mind you being on Denver. I'm not too surprised that Matt Moore's on Denver, and so let's battle it out. Give me Kawhi, Norm Powell, Ivica Zubac to be a defensive stopper in the paint, and James Harden to pop out of his playoff shell.
Matt, can you tell me what Denver does better than the Clippers right now?
Jokic.
Offense. They are much better offensively.
Okay, but
the Clippers are like the difference with the Clippers with Kawhi is like it's massive, but it's also just like, yeah, like they're a really good offense with Kawhi. They're not as good as Denver. Like, they're much better at that.
But they're not going to be able to get as busy offensively against the Clippers as they have other teams in the West all year long.
I mean, yeah, I think the Nuggets offense is defense proof. I don't think anybody can slow them down. Clippers are going to have to win this series by carrying their offense. They're going to have to make big shots. Like, Chris Dunn hit a bunch of 3-pointers today. Those were massive, massive swings for them. Harden's going to do work. He'll be effective in this series. Kawhi, I think, is like he'll have at least 2 games where he's massive, and if he has more than that, then Fiddle's going to win his bet. But I will say, like, of all the options, if this was Wolves, I would have already bet so heavy in to the Wolves by now. But this Clippers matchup is like, it's of all the available options, this is probably the best for Denver. Clippers offense this season has been frankly mediocre. It's been mediocre for the large part of it. Now with Kawhi, it's like, oh, with Kawhi though, and it's like, all right, but that's like, we have a truncated sample against certain teams. I think you have an opportunity here, and like, there's fewer weapons on the Clippers. Like, what are your weapons on the Clippers? It's Kawhi, Harden, Powell. Who's like your knockdown shooter on the Clippers?
Powell.
Yeah.
And Batum, so Batum is going to be a lingering injury because he's been fantastic in playoff knockdown shooting and spacing situations, versatile defense.
If Nick comes back, we could then that'll probably change the equation here. I'll have to see like where he's at on
Can I give another actionable bet for this series? Over 223 game 1 Clippers at Nuggets, full unit already placed for me.
Okay.
No brainer if we're talking about the offense and that this matchup is offense proof for the Denver Nuggets. And we're talking about Kawhi being healthy. Kawhi has turned into a offensive player. He used to be a defensive guy. When he was in or out, the total would sink. If he was going to play, it would pop. If he was going to be out, we've hit the point where Kawhi's offense is so strong, and the defense has slipped a little bit in recent years with the injuries, where Kawhi's worth about 2.5 points to an over. So 220, it's literally already moved. 223.5 would still play at full unit.
Excellent. Okay, let's move and let's talk about another game. Let's move to let's go to the other West series. Let's do Lakers Wolves here. Lakers minus 195 at DraftKings, Wolves plus 160. Fiddle, give me a check on those prices to make sure that they're stable.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I will go ahead and say here, I'm going to be on Lakers here. I'm going to look at the series spread price. This is a terrible matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is awful. They have a huge size advantage on the interior, but does that really helpful? Do you want to trade 2s versus 3s? The Lakers defense is geared to stop 3-pointers and to generate a lot of them. Luka Doncic absolutely ripped this team apart last year in the playoffs. Luka was not good in the first round versus the Clippers. He was not good versus the Thunder in the second round. He was hurt, but he was also not good because of those matchups. He was excellent versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jaden McDaniels can't guard him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker can't guard him. Anthony Edwards can't guard him. They do not have anyone with the size to keep him out of the mid post. And when he gets to that mid post, you have to double. And then when you double, that's when he kills you with the cross court reversal to Rui Hachimura, to Dorian Finney-Smith. They have great wing defenders for them to be able to throw at Anthony Edwards here. Like, DFS is really good. Now, the Lakers defense is not as good, but they're going to be able to switch a lot or double with Ant on the perimeter. They can play on the edge. The Wolves want to win with 3-pointers. They don't want to have to operate inside the paint with the guys that they have. Julius Randle, I think, could actually have a really good series, but his playoff experience has been poor. Sean, you as a long time, you're like my Julius Randle, not whisperer, but like the guy that knows Jules. So tell me about Julius Randle and what you think about this matchup versus the Los Angeles Lakers, especially if he's facing one LeBron James.
Yeah, and as of late, I got to give Julius his props. He's been playing really good ball coming down the stretch here for Minnesota. Some may call it not the highest pressure stakes. Once the conversation around him and Trey died down, he was able to start playing his game and maybe get out of his head mentally. But yeah, I agree with everything you said about this matchup and the Lakers. This feels like a spot Julius Randle may try to be asked to do too much offensively and play out of his game. And that's not where you want to be with Julius Randle. That's the situation I think he's going to be in when he goes against the Lakers. And then obviously defensively, he's not going to be able to handle either one of those guys on the wing. So the size thing may matter, but Minnesota, you're right. They just want to play out on the perimeter almost exclusively. And that's why they always find themselves in these high variance games, blowing leads, because when things aren't falling, all of us, like for example, a couple nights ago, they played Memphis, third quarter. They are rolling, can't miss a jump shot. They look like the best team in the NBA. Fourth quarter comes back into play, and they had a real chance to potentially blow that game. It got down to a 5-point lead for Memphis. So, yeah, I agree with you in this spot. The Lakers are flat out, I think, going to be a little too much still for a year one Minnesota new look squad.
Lakers minus 1.5 series spread plus 120 DraftKings. That's a bet right off the bat for
Yes,
me. That's a
that's the
great
best.
price.
That's the best spot in that series for sure. I'd rather lay that than lay minus
Yeah,
195.
4-2. This screams 4-2 Lakers, or better. Like, I will probably sprinkle a little bit on. I'll have to think about a sweep. I'll have to think about it. But I love this matchup on the surface for the Los Angeles Lakers. Fiddle, what do you think?
You're the one that's going to talk me off of taking a Wolves, and the market has agreed with you. When this line was posted at DraftKings, we had the exact same series prices as the Denver Clippers, which was plus 160 for the Wolves, minus 195 for the Lakers. It is still there. DraftKings, FanDuel opens it up and puts the Lakers around minus 155 and already has taken 11 cents of steam and is now minus 166. So you're seeing a little bit of Lakers market in the series. I'm just going to stay off of that because I thought it was a Wolves or nothing spot. Wolves were a dangerous team that I was looking to back in the playoffs, admittedly, going against a team in small ball Lakers that could just reverse course against a team that wants to go big and match up with double big OKC or something like that to present some dangers to some other teams. It's a bad matchup, so I'll stay off of this. One bet I do like, over 218.5, game one, Timberwolves at Lakers, also available at DraftKings. It's primarily going to be DraftKings and FanDuel being this early in the market and having the vast array of options at those sports books, but those numbers are worth grabbing now. Matt, can I ask you a question? What do you have for the price or model projection of a Timberwolves at Lakers total? Because so far, like, I already hit the Clippers and we saw the price already move up half a point towards the over, but I think we're getting like game one NBA playoff numbers, just really depressed totals, anticipating the playoff intensity and atmosphere, because already through 2 games, like, we're looking at an average of like 7 points depressed from what my regular season total would be. And I know a lot of high-level cappers get into playoff models and specifically modeling data sets for post-All-Star break and for specifically playoffs because the game does change. But it's for that much is too reactionary for me. So I see Lakers Wolves total at 227 in a model version right now, but to see 218.5, it's just too far off. Other numbers, 220 already on the market. I'm going to play a little bit, half a unit towards that over 218.5.
I love that. I'll join you on that because, and if for no other reason, how this, let's boil this down to Luka versus Mavs, right? Like, the Wolves defense, the Mavericks defense last year was much better than this Lakers defense. We can agree on that. Like, that was a much better defense, rebounding, size, versatility, way better. That series last year was 4-1 over in that series. That is a preposterous number, to be perfectly honest with you, with where that is set. Right now, I've got the total set at 227.
That's exactly what I said.
That's where I would project.
We don't use the same. We're friends, but we don't use the same model.
Right, exactly. And that's interesting. I do make the spread. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. See, this is one of the things I think is interesting with these early lines, and we'll get into this more with the Pacers and Bucks game and the Knicks and Pistons. A lot of this is like, I lean very heavily over the course of a 7-game series based off of the matchups towards the series price. But a lot of these game one lines, I am going the other way from how I predict the series. So I'm going to have to sort that out. For example, like, based on a number, like, I make this a pick 'em based off of the number here with the Lakers. I like the Lakers to win the series, but we're talking about the Lakers being a 4.5 point favorite here. I would imagine Lakers are going to take money. If I can get this over, like, I don't think I'm going to get it over 2 possessions. I can't see this taking. Well, that's a good question for Fiddle. What's like a good amount that you can expect a line to move non-injury based on a playoff series or a playoff game between open and close?
For a game one, without like saying there we had a reaction to game one and now we have a sample and a reopen. Right. Okay. 2 points would be a lot, I would think, especially this time of the season. Like, we have the data to know what these games should relatively be priced. Matt says he has it as a pick 'em. I have it Lakers projected to be favored by 0.5 point, which is why when I was looking at it, and you see 4.5 on the market for the Wolves, you have 3.5 on the market for the Lakers at best prices right now. I was only looking Wolves, and I stayed away from it because of the matchup stuff that we're speaking to and knowing how the game changes. But yeah, numbers right now are definitely going to say Wolves, which is, the basis of what I do is very numbers based. So it was Wolves or nothing for me. I'll stay away from it, but 218.5 is a clear over with both of us having 227.5.
Okay, so I'm betting Lakers series right off the bat. I've already done that. I am going to come back and bet Wolves if I can get this number above 5.5. I need it to be a full 2 possessions or over. Is where I want to get it to. If it doesn't, I'll have to wait and kind of figure out where I want to be. If it goes the other way, then I'll have to really think about it, because if I give like at least a point of edge on the matchup to the Lakers, then I'm going to have to reevaluate. Sean, like, what do you think is like the biggest thing in the series? Like, to me, it's just like the fact that the Wolves can't guard or the Wolves can't guard Luka. That to me is just like, if you can't guard Luka, if you don't have any chance, if you're a defensive squad and that's where you start at, I have a real concern about your ability to be able to hang with them offensively.
Yeah, just to go back to that total really quick, it's 220 and a few other spots as well. So DK is the one that's lagging behind there with the 218.5. The biggest thing in this series is how
220
is how Luka Doncic is going to shoot from the field. If he could shoot 40 to 45% even, which is poor for him in a lot of occasions, they'll be fine. So I think it's going to be how they slow down and defend Luka. Throughout the entire playoffs, if Luka is able to do what he wants and offensively create and produce early in games, and then they could go tandem with LeBron and the guys coming down the stretch, that's when they're going to be extremely dangerous. So the biggest thing for me is if Luka is able to shoot well from the floor, I even think in that game 1 spot, that 4.5 number is a tough spot. I'm personally, like Fiddle said, it's Minnesota or nothing. I'm not interested overall in that game 1 number. I would like to see kind of how it shakes, but for the overall series, like we laid out, the -1.5 Lakers at 6 is a really good spot. And also, when you're looking at series markets, make sure you take into consideration the total games market as well. That'll give you hints on if we think, or if the public, or if the market thinks that the series is going to be 6+, or potentially even push 7 games, or it's going to be a shorter series. So that series in particular, Timberwolves Lakers is -175 at DK to go over 5.5 games, aligns with us believing that the Lakers can win 4-2.
All right, let's jump to the Eastern Conference. Let's talk Pacers Bucks. This one I haven't done. I've done a lot more work on Pistons Knicks, so this one's I'm going to take a lot more time on. I'm very interested to see kind of where we get to. Pacers -190 at DraftKings to win the series. Bucks are +190 at FanDuel. So tells you kind of where this market is at. Okay, I'm probably going to come in on. This one I got to wait on. I'm probably coming in on Bucks -1.5. So I was extremely high on Pacers last year. It was like one of my biggest bets was betting Pacers first round versus the Bucks. No Giannis in that series, which everyone kind of chalks it up to. The Pacers, I think, win that series if Giannis plays. That team with the Bucks was a defensive joke. They were awful, and they had no way of stopping the offense that the Pacers put together. It was a terrible matchup, and that's why the Pacers won that season series. The Bucks won 3-1 this year. Now, I don't care about individual like regular season matchups. Too messy. Like, it's a Tuesday after they were in LA for 3 days and they're all hungover. Oh no, it's a Wednesday in February and they just got done with a really physical game and they all feel like garbage and they've all had the flu. I don't get overly wrapped up, but what I do get really caught up in is what the overall context of those games look like. And what's interesting in this one is some of the on-off stuff is very noticeable when we look at kind of where the Milwaukee Bucks are at and where the Indiana Pacers are at. And the fact that the Pacers offense this year isn't as good as last year. Their defense is way better, but the Bucks defense is much better this year too. With Giannis on the court this season, plus 12.9 versus the Pacers net rating. With Dame, it's only 5.1 on to 4.1 off. So what I'm trying to get at here is this market is clearly influenced by the absence of Damian Lillard on the power rating, Fiddle. Like, there's no way that the Bucks have not taken a massive downgrade because of the absence of Damian Lillard. The Bucks, since Dame's injury, it took them a while, but Doc figured out it is preferably 3 shooters and a big, Bobby Portis or Brook Lopez. Not a fan of Kevin Porter Jr. for a lot of reasons. He has been annoyingly very good over the last 2 months or so. Taurean Prince is one of the best catch and shoot players in the league this season. We are back to 2019 Bucks. Giannis, head of steam, downhill, shooters around him. Pacers don't take a lot of threes. Bucks take a ton. Pacers want to get to the rim. The Bucks have excellent rim protection. So, Fiddle, I think this is a market, I think where the power rating is being built off to set this market. There's value on Milwaukee here because I don't think the Dame should be as much of a downgrade.
I completely agree. I would be only taking Bucks in this series. I would only be looking at Bucks in game 1. I will give the first actionable bet in a second that I actually placed in this series, but a lot of this hangs in the Dame balance and a lot of this hangs in that switch. But also, Matt, you said Bucks are 3-1 in the season series in the regular season. Now, the one that they lost was the most painful game for me of the entire season. It was a Tyrese Halliburton 4-point play at the buzzer when Giannis fouls him in the running corner with that like almost football style inbounds play to like a Hail Mary. It was insane, and that's what it took for the Pacers to beat the Bucks. So I lean Bucks. The early market is Pacers, but the amount of action that I'm perceiving coming in on Pacers, Sean was speaking to this a little bit and hinting at it when he was talking about the game markets and learning from other markets what's happening. You could use the term like, how is the market shading this situation? So the seemingly one-way action that's come in on Indiana and like the 5 to 10 cents of movement is highly skeptical that these books are accepting liability on the Indiana Pacers. So I would only be going Bucks. I haven't done it yet. The one spot that I have actually bet is the under 226 available at DraftKings for game 1. Model number has it at 229.5. However, that's with a lot of Damian Lillard games factored in. That's without the playoff intensity. So first time we're seeing the model project a higher number than what's coming out and wanting to go the other way and take the under in this spot. Before I was seeing a higher number taking the over. I'll fade that because Dame's probably worth 5.5 points to a total because he's a cone on defense and he's one of the best shooters on offense. So I just think this is Bucks or nothing. They're coming in on a 7-game win streak where they are clearly prioritizing defense, transition, and shooting. And so I think they're going to play really aggressive. I think it's going to be very physical. So under 226 is the only thing that I actually bet so far. 3/4 of a unit was the play, and Bucks would be the only series angle that I would consider.
Yeah, I've still got this very north. What's the number right now for the total?
226.
Yeah, I've still got this way over, and that's mostly built off of Pacers' pace. I'll be very curious to see kind of what happens. I may have to make some manual adjustments based off of where the Bucks defense has been without Dame. Sean, give me your thoughts.
Best bet on the board for me. I just fired it a couple minutes ago. Series over 5.5 games, minus 140 at FanDuel. It's minus 160 at DraftKings. The only 2 places I've looked as we record this, but this has 6+ games written all over it. I'm gonna pencil in Milwaukee and Giannis on a 40, 15, and 7 game from Giannis to get a W. He has really big potential just to win a game by himself. And then when we're talking about respecting the market, I think it is interesting that we're all over Milwaukee and the Pacers are a fairly decent amount favorite here. I'm not too sure where to go with the series, but I'm confident that it goes over 5.5. I think this is an interesting matchup. And I don't trust the Pacers to ever just stomp a team out, favorite or not. I would be shocked if the Bucks beat them in 5 or less. This is a dead 6+ game series for me. I bet that minus 140 at FanDuel.
I will say the numbers are really good here. Bucks minus 1.5 at BetMGM is plus 300. We get 3-1 on that. And I think that this is probably going to be 1-1 going back to Milwaukee. So I think I'll probably get a better price to come back in on Indiana if I don't like how the series is looking there. Michael Buchanan in the chat lets us know that the total at BetMGM is at 226.5 at MGM. I think that's a really fascinating matchup. I think it's the coaching matchup is such a bad one, right? It's just like, I love Rick Carlisle in a playoff series. I hate Doc Rivers in a playoff series. But man, as I love this Pacers team, and I think that they probably beat the Pistons and then they could, make a run here. They're agents of chaos. I love how that team plays. However, this Bucks team really kind of has something under the radar. I think they're better than what they've shown recently. I think their best punch is pretty good. So we'll have to see kind of what happens. All right. Let's go to the last one on the board, which is going to be in terms of playoff series that are available now. And then we'll talk play-in and the outcomes for the 1 and 8s as well. Let's talk about the Knicks and the Pistons. Okay, this one's really fascinating. I spent all morning working on this. My initial, when this net number came out, because this one was locked a week ago, and so we were able to kind of get an advanced look on it. Knicks are minus 425 to win the series. Pistons plus 360. So my initial reaction was, you know what? There's been too much talk about the Knicks being bad. There's been too much hype on the Pistons because we kind of saw this one coming. And so there was all this, the narrative really kind of got out of like, oh man, Cade Cunningham and MSG, this is like the coming out moment. And I was like, the Knicks are like a way better team. Like they're way better by almost every metric. Like they are a substantially better team than this Pistons squad. We're doing series previews here on buckets throughout the week. And like Brandon Anderson and I are going to go into war over this one because he is very in on Detroit. And I was very, very in on the Knicks. I did film work this morning to start on it. And boy, am I like, I'm not flipped. I'm just like, oh, I got to think about this one because I will tell you this right away. Cade Cunningham is going to have an absolutely fucking monster series. Absolutely monster series. So I'm looking at this. There is no way for the Knicks to hide Jalen Brunson within their scheme. Like they were built. This is one of the problems with the Cat trade is like they were built to be a switch alt. They can't do that with Cat. And when you switch alt, with the Knicks gave him that switch consistently, and the Pistons knew they were going to give that switch and try and fight through it a few times, having the guard go under the screen to stay with him, Cade's initial defender. So what Cade did was Cade ran side pick and roll, which allowed him to get to the baseline. And when you do that, he's got all that space to work with, and it is deadly. Ironically, what you want to do with Cade is you want to get him to the rim. You want to ride his hip all the way to the rim and make him shoot a layup because he is 19th percentile finishing at the rim. That's really good. A big problem in this matchup, though, if you look at the starters, the Knicks starters almost entirely all won their minutes. The Pistons starters, even though they won 3-1, the Pistons starters didn't win their minutes. So, like, what does that tell you? It tells you a lot of this was decided by the backup minutes for the Knicks with guys like Huck Porty and Jericho Sims, who was terrible and is not on the team anymore. Precious was actually pretty good. So, Sean, I'll start with you. Being in New York, I like New York here, but the market also is pretty wild on this in terms of it just like reflecting the overall difference in these teams based on power rating. I'm going to wait and see if the public comes in on Detroit and then come back the other way, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting because the game one number, the game one number 7 in favor of the Knicks. Every person I've talked to about that, shocked it's that large. Number hasn't even thought about moving, hasn't done anything, hasn't gone anywhere, has stayed at the 7 number since I've seen it. 3-1, Detroit won the regular season series, and in a lot of instances beat up on the Knicks in a lot of different spots. You're right about Cade and going to the rack. Anytime he finds anyone smaller than him, back to the basket, will do whatever he needs to do, even if it's not a high percentage shot for him. I'm interested to see how they attack him because if you can slow Cade, then they're dead. So is that OG? Brunson's going to have to be hidden. We knew that from the beginning of the year. What Darius Garland did to those guys the other night was absolutely unbelievable. He was unstoppable. So I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with just the point of attack and Cade being that. But yeah, Knicks aren't losing this series. This could easily go 5 games tops. Detroit, is a legitimate theory of they're young, they have no playoff experience, they have nothing of that aspect going for them. And the Knicks should take care of business and then try to figure out a way to compete with Boston.
Interesting. Sean, really confident here. Fiddle, what's your read on the market and what we think about this Pistons Knicks matchup?
Resoundingly agree with Sean. Resoundingly am all over the Knicks. Give me all of your Pistons action. I hear a lot of sentiment out there that people want the Pistons in this matchup. If you're not betting against me, literally, just don't. I wouldn't place that bet. That's gonna be an L. Like, I am resoundingly sure of the Knicks in this market. The market trends agree. When the price dropped, the series line came a little bit back towards the Pistons on their long shot price. They opened at like plus 360 and the Knicks were like minus 400 and it started coming down. The Knicks were then minus 360 and the Pistons were like plus 320 and started to come down. While that was happening in the series prices, the game one prices all moved from 6.5 to 7. There's a 6.5 still currently available. Knicks minus 6.5, game one at BetMGM. I already bet that. The numbers move from 6.5 to 7. It's one of the most important number shifts in the NBA. That is worth 10 cents on the line change alone. And so you saw game one go Knicks. You saw series go Pistons at first. Now, that speaks to me that the sharp money is coming in on the game one, where you're going to be churning your bankroll over, and kind of the narrative money is coming in on the Pistons, thinking, oh, they might win this, they might win the series, they might be a tough matchup, the Knicks haven't been great recently, and so on and so forth. The next day you wake up, because these ones been priced for a few days, and we've known what's going to happen. The Knicks shoot back to minus 450 in the series price. And now if you took an early Detroit swing, you're probably kicking yourself with a bad number before game one. Cade Cunningham, I'm not normally old man screams at cloud, but Cade Cunningham going on NBA TV for 5 or ESPN NBA Countdown for all 5 days this week. He's going to be in New York doing the ESPN set, going into his first playoff run. What is he doing? I guarantee you next week there's a Cade shouldn't have done that. This is reminiscent of when the Giants went to Mexico when they had a bye week in the playoffs and Odell was seen like with his girl on a boat in Mexico. It's like, what do you prepare for the playoffs, study film, do all your recovery stuff. Like, not the right time for Cade to be going on NBA Countdown, NBA Today, or whatever he's going to be on. Don't like it at all. Like to fade and buy the Knicks heavily in this spot. I will probably be playing Knicks ATS every game.
Big thing.
That's interesting.
Big thing.
Okay.
I agree with Fiddle wholeheartedly on you don't do regardless if it affects your game or not. Because more times than not, it doesn't for the most part. Like, Cade's going to still play well in this series. It's about the optics. It's about what it looks like to everyone else when you're going into a series against a team that a lot of people thought can compete to win the East in many ways coming in. So it's about the optics. It's about you being mature. It's about you taking the playoffs seriously. Your first playoff series, first thing you do is book time on ESPN to break down other stuff outside of the Knicks. If I'm anybody on the ESPN panel, by the way, all I'm doing is trying to get information out of him about how he feels about the Knicks matchup. That's all I'm talking to him about. How does it feel to be in? How are you going to go attack the Knicks? Like, all that type of stuff. So I agree with Fiddle. There's just no reason to go do that in your first playoff matchup. Now, one thing that's been very interesting is the Knicks' first quarter has been an ATM all year long if you faded them in the first quarter. They closed the year winning the first quarter in 13 straight games straight up. ATS numbers were very good coming down the stretch in the first quarter. Now, you're going to catch a situation where Cade is coming off of NBA Countdown. His first playoff game, Pistons' first playoff game together. They're going to be in a raucous environment at Madison Square Garden. Fiddle, I know you don't like playing the win the first half, win the game type of parlays, but if you're looking for a way to get on the Knicks on the money line for a cheaper number, I would not be mad if you took Knicks first quarter full game at minus 150 in game one versus the Detroit Pistons. With the Knicks coming off a ton of rest, they're going to be ready to go. The Knicks, when they have the rest advantage and they are rested at home, completely different basketball team. When they start getting put in back-to-back situations and 3 games in 5 days and those type of spots, they struggle. If you're going to give them 4, 5, 6 days off and they play the Pistons game 1 at home, a team that they've lost 3 of the last 4 to, and have got a few looks at and will be familiar and essentially will be completely healthy. Everyone will be in the rotation and ready to go. Knicks should beat them up in the first quarter and beat them up in the game, and you could lay the number. I think it's very telling that the number opened 7. The first time I saw it, it hasn't moved a bit. And like Fiddle said, I've heard multiple and quite a handful of people, including myself, I'm not going to lie, they worry me a little bit more than Milwaukee personally. But this should be a series the Knicks take care of business, and game 1 will be a good start.
So we're going to talk a lot about what's called the Matt Mitchell rule on buckets. And what it means is teams that win cover as favorites about 70% of the time in the playoffs. Dogs that cover win outright 80% of the time in playoffs. Now, the difference with that is very much the first round. That's the exception here. That's actually what drags these numbers down to where they are. So I will just tell you, like, I think the number is way too high. I think the Knicks are power rated way too high here. My numbers do not enjoy the Pistons. My numbers are like, I mean, they're fine. I've still only got this 5.5 Fiddle. I can't get there. So I'm going to have to be on Detroit plus 7.5. But I do I'll genuinely think about like Detroit plus 7.5 Knicks money line. That combo as a same game parlay. Like, I understand that's a middle, but I like it. Like, I genuinely kind of like that setup for this game in particular. Let's hit the playing games before we get out of here, because those numbers are up as well. We will hit on the possibilities of all these matchups for the 1 and the 2 seeds against those teams as they come available this week on Buckets. You can catch it wherever you get podcasts or at youtube.com/the Action Network. As like part of that, I'll just tell you, I love this bracket so much for the Lakers. I love this bracket for the Lakers. I have a lot of Lakers futures, and this was a great one for them to get. Let's start. I want to knock out the East quickly so we don't get caught up on it. Hawks at Magic. Magic are -5 in the 7-8. The total is 218.5. Fiddle, we've had this one for a little bit. What have you seen in the market, and what do you think about it?
A hair of Hawks sentiment in the market. There was some 5.5s that all came down to 5. There's sharp books that are starting to throw up an expensive 4.5 on the Magic side, so call it a 4.75. I really don't have much of a read for this one. I have no way of going. I don't plan on betting it. Excited to watch it. Excited to see. Paolo's been playing fantastic recently. So if anything, I might back the Magic on a late number. But this is just 2 starkly different teams in all the styles. It's a very strong contrast. So it's almost a situation that might set up for live betting, or if you notice, who's kind of controlling pace early, you might want to go with an over if it's a Hawks quick game. If it's a Magic slugfest, hit a live under. Like, let the first few minutes dictate how this game might play out, because these teams are so opposite of each other that I just want to stay away, and not the market is not saying any strong signals in either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Magic have been so inconsistent too, right? Where it's like every game it feels like they're either back to that terrible offense, or they look actually like kind of not a juggernaut, but they look like an actual competent offense. Sean, Fiddle's going to stay away from this one. You have thoughts on this Hawks Magic battle?
Not really, to be completely honest. Atlanta is the most
great stuff, Sean.
No, that specific matchup, I really don't have too much to go off, because Orlando has just been so spotty down the stretch and offensively. Of course, we know they have trouble scoring, and Atlanta can go on these bursts where they do get it together offensively and kind of overwhelm Orlando in some spots. That's just not a game I'm interested in general. They're both 2 dead teams walking as soon as they get out of the play-in either way. So, yeah, not too many thoughts on that spot, but I really do like the Golden State Warriors by double digits against Memphis, and I like Sacramento -5 in that game versus Dallas. If we want to get into those sides, I can break it down.
All right, let's look at Grizz Warriors. We'll go to the other 7-8.
Sure.
So this was decided today with a Warriors loss. Warriors are -6.5. Total is 232. I have to force myself to remain as far away from the total as well. I do have this 235.5. So the problem is like the Grizz have been playing slower since they fired Jenkins. They've been playing a little bit slower because they're playing more pick and roll and they're playing Edey more. So that's like I think a relevant component to this total. Full season numbers are going to bend towards the over here because the Grizzlies have just been an over machine. Like they play at such a breakneck pace, but that's been a little bit different under Asalo. So I have to be very, very careful here with what this looks like in that context. I do think that from a spread perspective, this is am I correct that the Warriors are taking money here, Fiddle? Because I think there's a 7 in the market.
There was
a
a 7.5 that opened at another book, but I don't think anything has seen any movement yet to say like which direction these numbers are going. It's just different books pricing this differently. But can we just throw the question out there, like Jimmy Butler banging his knees and now playing in 2 days? Like, he stayed in the game? He was clearly humbled. That looked like a nasty bone bruise. That's something that like might inflame the next day. Any concern on Jimmy? Because that would, obviously cause a cataclysm in the way that these numbers might go. But I can't really back the Warriors without it. You have news?
Yeah. Warriors -7.5 at FanDuel. So here's an interesting one. It's -7.5, -105 at FanDuel. It's -6.5, -112 at DraftKings.
7 cents apart. So a full point, but not actually the value of even half a point.
Right. So we're heading toward, this also says like we're heading towards 7, right? Like 7 is like market
consensus forms between some books, and then this one will largely hinge on some news that comes out, because if Butler gets the A-OK, 6.5 will pop to 7, and the 7s might stay at 7.5.
Bet 365 -7 -110.
It's the right number.
Clock. So I make this 5.8, so I'm probably going to be on Memphis here, and I'll probably be on Memphis to win. I've doubted the Warriors pretty consistently. I think this Grizzlies team is extremely banged up. Like Jalen Wells being out kills them. Brandon Clark being out kills them. I do kind of think that they played so well in Denver, honestly, for 3 quarters, and they ran out of gas. The league scheduled them on a 3rd in 4 nights, back-to-back game in Denver. That was infuriating as a schedule spot. In a late game spot versus a playoff opponent, that was horrendous. They got beaten that Wolves game. The problem is like they do have these second half meltdowns, I think because of their pace in part. So honestly, I might be on Grizzlies first half. That might be the play. It's like Grizzlies first half in that Warriors-Grizzlies game. I'll look at some of the trends for Warriors and home games, but that to me is like my first initial lean is Grizzlies first half for the play-in tournament game. We like that.
My numbers have Grizzlies or nothing. And historical sample size between these two teams playing in play-in, playoff type of atmosphere games.
This is a different Memphis team, though. What are we talking about here? The last 10, this is a completely different Memphis style, and however they want to go about their business, it's completely different than they've done it essentially the entire year. The defense is atrocious. I don't care if they went on a back-to-back and played 6 and 8 or whatever it was, and had to go to Denver, and Denver's in a must-win spot. I understand that. Ja now takes 10 threes a game. Sincerely, he's taken like last 5 games, he's taken like 7 or 8 threes a game. The Golden State top 2, top 3 in the NBA in points allowed in the paint. Ja's not going to be able to go to the rack, which is what he wants to do. The fact that the number even touched 7.5 is a big indicator to me that this is just a different level and a different squad, and they have to go on the road where we know they've struggled all year long. They're under a new regime. I want nothing to do with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think this is a step up in class. And if we're going to have to count on them just shooting perimeter jump shots, and they're not the Boston Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Ja is taking a lot of them, look, JJJ has been great from the perimeter all year. Desmond Bane has been absolutely white hot the last like 10 or 12 games. But I don't trust Ja Morant. I don't trust Ja Morant shooting jump shots. They're not going to be able to go to the rack and do what they want to do. And then we're talking about Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond. They figure out a way to slow those guys down and then actually get in the playoffs.
Curry's hand. Another thing, Marcus Thompson, who covers the team, noted that he's like rolling over so he doesn't have to plant on that hand. That was notable to me.
Interesting.
Did he mention which hand?
I forget which one it is. You can look it up. The other one I would say is I expect Jimmy to play. We'll see if he's impactful there. Memphis 13th in defense last 2 weeks, so somewhere in between like what Sean said, which is them being garbage and them being good. This is a number I do think is notable though, which is the Warriors this season overall are 17th on offense. I don't trust their offense. I don't. Brandon Pajemski has held them up. If you go back and you look at all these games, you would be shocked at some of these box scores and being like, wait, Quentin Post led them in scoring? Wait, Brandon Pajemski had 28? Wait, Moses Moody? Moody, Mozzie Moody? As KP, as Kendrick Perkins does? Like, he had 18? Like, some fishy stuff with some of these games. It hasn't just been Steph, Jimmy, Draymond. There's been a few. It's been like Steph, Jimmy, Draymond. But I have some concerns. So I think I'm probably going to go in. I'm going to go in on Grizz money line, I think, for that play-in tournament game. Won't be shocked if the Warriors win. They can absolutely win. They're the better team. I really miss Jalen Wells already. The other thing I will tell you, they're playing Edie more as like an edict from from Zach Kleiman, who wants him to play. Well, guess what? Edie played drop coverage versus Steph Curry the last time they played.
Yeah, Brian.
And I about lost.
I thought you were going to say Edie's been playing well. He has, but he's also, that's not too smart.
He played drop, like he let Steph shoot, and I was just like, but he won his minutes in that game. I will say, as much as Edie drives me nuts as a fit on this team, it's not Zach's fault. It's not Zach Edie's fault at all. I just don't like him on this team. The numbers have been good. They've won their minutes with Zach. So we'll see what happens. We got two more, and then we'll get out of here because Sean wants to go buy his girl a hamburger.
Smash burger, to be specific.
The legendary 9-10 matchups. The legendary 9-10 matchups. As a reminder, no 10 seed has ever made the playoffs.
Let's just rename it the Reinsdorf game. The 9-10, the Reinsdorf.
That's amazing.
It's called the Reinsdorf. That's it, period. That's where he wants to be.
That's so good.
The play-in was the worst thing to happen to Bulls fans since Michael Jordan, since Derrick Rose tore his ACL. That's the play-in implementation is the worst thing to happen to that fan base since then. The Reinsdorf 9-10.
The Bulls are -1. Total 222.5. Sean, are the Bulls going to make it into the play-in tournament? The 9 has historically done pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, look, man, they're going to be counting money throughout the game up in the owner's box, and they'll probably win this game.
Sean's just disgusted by the Bulls being in this again.
This is like I wouldn't be surprised behind closed doors. It's like as long as we get a home play-in game for that extra cheese, I'm all about it. That's a success for me this season. The Bulls have been a lot better defensively coming down the stretch, and not many people have noticed or talked about it. They've been really, really good on that side of the ball for their standards, and just a more cohesive, fun team basketball squad. Ball moves since Levine left. It's been a lot more positive in that aspect since that trade went down. I won't be on a side because it's just a tough game in a one-off to go against Spo and what he could potentially scheme up. Do I think what's going on in Miami is completely stale and we're giving Spo and the Heat culture a pass for the last few years outside of Jimmy Butler making unbelievable runs? Yes. So I don't really trust overall Miami and what's going on down the stretch, but these one-off games are completely different, and I would hate to go against Spo and what those guys got going on, even if the Bulls have been playing well.
Okay. Fiddle, your thoughts on this barn burner of a game?
It has to be Heat or nothing. I actively bet the under, but now at 222, I don't know if I would still follow that. The fact that this total market has gone 2 points to the under from 224 to 222 just tells you that the sharp market thinks that this is going to be a Miami Heat style of game. They have the best coach in the NBA, in my opinion, still. They have the two best players in this game in Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and they have the experience over the Bulls that haven't really been here. I mean, they've been in the play-in plenty of times, but haven't really been in these like one-game scenarios. Like, would you really expect Matas Buzelis to play a big role because he's been fantastic towards the end of the season? Like, no. I just give me the Miami Heat here. The only thing is I haven't actively bet it. I did bet the under. I haven't actively bet it because the number on the game is Bulls -1, and there's a few 1.5s that have popped up too. The number 1 is the 13th most common outcome in the NBA. All the numbers 2 through 12 are worth more. So I will sit back. I will let the market mature a little bit and then help, because I said opinions don't matter, numbers do. My own opinion doesn't really fucking matter. If we get a Bulls -2 popping up, I'm probably going to find myself flipping script and betting Bulls, because saying, hey, that's enough sharp action, not through key numbers, to get me to back the Bulls. If it stays here, I will be backing the Miami Heat. I do plan to play this game. I hope it's on the Heat, but it's going to be let the market develop through numbers that I don't care about to get me to a mature angle.
Numbers have it Bulls. Heat have been playing a lot better. I'm gonna have to dive into this one a little bit more before I make a pick. I mean, I don't think it matters. I think either of these teams actually, I think, loses to the Hawks. Bulls are a little interesting. Bulls are
Matt just said Hawks are losing, so that means you're going Magic in the 7.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I kind of lean there. Last one, Mavs Kings, the sadness bowl. Kings -5, totals 223.5. Just sad. I don't love the Kings going up against a physical front line. Like, the Mavericks, I think, have dudes. So I'm going to lean on like handicap a little bit towards Mavericks. I haven't run numbers yet. Fiddle, what do you think on this one?
I think Kings will be a numbers play, but I'm honestly just pissed this game is even taking place. Like, these two teams are so far behind the 7 and 8 seeds in this conference. There is an 8-game gap between the Kings and the Grizzlies. Remember when the play-in was instituted in the bubble, but there was like, what was a 5-game cutoff or an 8-game cutoff? Like, there's no, I'll be so pissed if, like, sure, I'll take the extra games, I'll take volume, I'll take betting opportunities any day of the week. But like, if the Kings or the Mavericks end up making the playoffs over the Fizzlies and the way they fizzled so hard at the end of the year, like, no, this would be ridiculous for a 48-win team to miss the playoffs because a sub-500 team takes them in a 2-game set. I don't like that the game's even being played. Kings is a numbers play, but I'd even go with the petition with don't even bet it, don't even watch it. Let's boycott this game and get ready for the rest of them.
I lean over. I lean Mavericks pretty heavily. I'll be on Mavericks money line on this. I make this 2.3. Wow. I can't get there on this. Kings are. I think if we look at the Mavericks with their full complement of centers, they're going to be able to bully them. I think. I don't love DeMar DeRozan, trying to carry twos here. I don't know who's going to score for the Mavericks. That's a good question. That's an excellent question. But
too big of a question.
I do lean towards Mavericks.
Too big of a question.
Mavericks towards.
And the other question is, what makes me think the Dallas Mavericks want to play any more additional games than they have to play? You think they're going to be in the locker room trying to rally and win this game, win the next one, and then play a 7-game series? Man, pack this shit up. I can't see them getting super jazzed up to play this game. And offensively, the Kings have a lot of guys that can fill it up and have been filling it up the last 7 to 8 games, including Zach LaVine going absolutely ballistic. I would love to be a fly in the wall with Jason Kidd and this team and getting Klay Thompson, Ant Davis, and these guys jacked up to go play this 9-10 playing game on the road. It's just, I can't see it.
They have Spencer Dinwiddie playing the most minutes for the Mavericks this season, and then outright benched him against the Lakers the other night and ran Najee Marshall at point guard. Like, they have zero guard play. Historically, Sabonis dominates that matchup with AD. Does that pertain to Lakers versus Mavericks with AD? But that's been a head-to-head matchup that has gone heavy Sabonis. The only other thing that's worth pointing out is Malik Monk will still not be back for this game.
If it's Kings Grizzlies, I will love the Grizzlies in that matchup. So if we go chalk here, I'm gonna love the Grizzlies to get the 8th seed. I think the only kind of play I have off of big picture to wrap up here, I'm gonna like more Lakers futures. I'm gonna go back in on Luka, Western Conference Finals MVP. If you look at it, like Houston's gonna play Golden State, that's gonna be a war. It's gonna be an absolute war if the Warriors win that game. And if they win that game, then I think the Lakers are going to trounce the Wolves like we talked about. It's Lakers versus Rockets or Lakers versus Warriors. I like the Lakers in either of those series because the other team's going to be banged up and miserable. So Lakers have a very good path here to the Western Conference Finals. OKC is in a really good spot because the Wolves are now they're not going to see them at least until the conference finals. They get Denver is not a good matchup. I think if the Clippers beat the Nuggets, that's a great outcome for the Thunder. So I think Thunder probably improved here in terms of what their outlook looks like. This is probably a board that is very favorable to them. Like Clippers, Nuggets are two teams that are flawed. Is Kawhi scary? Sure, but they have a million wings. I don't know if they have enough offense to carry through versus that Thunder defense. So overall, I think Thunder Lakers looks like a great Western Conference Finals matchup overall for the board. You guys have any other big pictures from the board as we get out of here?
I think if you still see the Thunder,
go ahead, Sean.
Really quick, I'll be quick, Fiddle. If you see the Thunder to win the West, anything under 140, I think you have to bet it. I've added multiple times. I think they dust off everybody until they get to the Western Conference Finals. I don't see them having too much resistance in the first couple rounds. And then if you're worried, you should be able to hedge out and kick your feet up and relax on a decent number on the Los Angeles Lakers, as an example, if you believe and align with Matt's thoughts. I have to believe what I'm seeing from the Oklahoma City Thunder. People are saying they're not experienced enough. I think they got plenty of experience last year, and I think they have a guy. Jokic is unstoppable on offense. SGA has been the second most unstoppable guy offensively for damn near 3 years in a row now. So I'm not worried about the Thunder whatsoever. I think they cruise to the Western Conference Finals.
There is it's either Bet365 or DraftKings. There is a bet on the board, Celtics or Thunder to win the NBA title versus the field. It's Celtics Thunder -200, the field +150. So something
that's
to consider.
Very interesting.
Fiddle, last thought before we get out of here. Any big picture betting tips? We'll have you on later this week for some of the more of the betting stuff, but for the play-in tournament games. But any sort of big picture playoff stuff to consider?
Be ready to play the system called First Round Favorites. You could find this on action.com in their Pro Systems tab on the website. It is a system. A betting system is a series of criteria. When any level of it, all of them are met, it triggers the action to place a bet. In this instance, it's NBA playoffs first round, backing a favorite that's a 1 or a 2 seed in their conference and has a spread of ATS -4 or higher. So whether that be OKC -9.5 against the Kings in game 1 or the Grizzlies -8.5, I will be on OKC. That has a 62% win rate, a 19% ROI. It is blindly profitable every single season that I've talked about it and played it for the last 3. So that is a playoff angle that I'd be looking for. And then in terms of things that we talked about on this show, I mean, that Clippers +160 is already down to +135. That Knicks -6.5 is already at 7.5 at BetMGM. That Clippers Nuggets over already moved during the show. The Wolves Lakers over already moved during the show. So much of the action, you see this board moving. So try and get there quick. Try and be available when opening lines are there, and try and come back to Buckets Live, because let's do this when it's round 2 or round 3 and we keep getting more prices, because this is a strong opportunity in the betting market to pick off some spots. We saw it point blank with FanDuel and DraftKings offering an outright arbitrage situation on an opening series price. You just don't really see that. So let's take advantage of these opportunities the next few weeks.
All right, it's going to do it for Buckets Live. You can catch another episode of this show. We'll be doing these throughout the playoffs. Make sure to check out youtube.com/the Action Network. Give us a 5-star review if you're listening on the podcast version. Thanks, David Payne, getting us up on audio. Thanks to Gifford Gould with his help on our live show here today on Buckets Live. My thanks to Michael Fiddle and Sean Little for Michael Fiddle and Michael Fiddle and Sean Little. It's Fiddle and Little for jumping on. I appreciate Sean taking time out of watching old dudes in khakis strut up and down a field in order to join me for this episode. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. We start series previews tomorrow. Me and Brandon Anderson doing the whole slate. We'll start with the 3, 6, and 4, 5 in the East tomorrow. Till next time.
Lou Dort.